We're now a week into the holiday shopping season, and retailers are hoping for an even stronger year than last. And as you know, the season kicks off with Black Friday, one of the busiest shopping days of the year, and a key indicator of consumer spending trends. So today, we're going to dive into the results from this year's Black Friday and what they tell us about shopper behavior. So joining me is our resident data expert, Sean McCormick. Sean, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Sal. Always a pleasure.
Now, I'm seeing a lot of flowery language being used in this year's Black Friday results online. But according to an Angus Reid survey we had, 43% of Canadians plan to spend less this year, and only 7% said they'd spend more. So now there are plans, and then there's reality. So there's nothing like cold, hard data to help uncover that reality. What did this year's Black Friday actually show?
That survey that we commissioned with Angus Reid, it turned out that's pretty much what Canadians did on Black Friday is it was spending was down year over year. So Black Friday 2025 versus Black Friday 2024, spending was down 4%, like negative 4% versus last year. I think people were, definitely merchants were, hoping for that big pop. There could be a number of reasons for that. It's an easy data point to look at just spending overall this year and consumer spending and, the power of the dollar. And, Canadians, I think, are taking a more pragmatic approach to discretionary spend. And holiday shopping is discretionary spend. So, that it was down 4% year over year on Black Friday. Is that a surprise? No, I wouldn't say so. There were some regional variances there. Alberta was down 8% year over year. That was the largest delta. In Ontario, spending was down 4%, right in line with the national average at 4%. Now, the event itself, Black Friday, we also measured week over week. So what that measure is, it's really taking the temperature of the event itself. Is it pulling Canadians into the stores, into the online stores, into the bricks and mortar stores? Is it doing that effectively as a shopping event? The answer is yes, because Black Friday versus the previous Friday, November 28th, spending was up 25%.
That's huge.
It's huge. Now, that bump was a little bit less than last year. Last year was 29%. Again, not quite the velocity of last year, but as a shopping event, to move the needle 25% on a single day, it's gargantuan. So is Black Friday alive and well? Yes, absolutely it is. But, I think that we're just feeling a little bit of that retail 2025 environment. It's just been a little bit different this year.
And I mean, you and I were talking about this a little bit last week, comparing it to last year. Last year was kind of a bounce back year after, not only the pandemic, but also the hyperinflation and stuff. So last year's number year over year was quite good. This year, it being slightly down, we're comparing it to an abnormal last year.
Yeah, I mean, last year over year, Black Friday was up 11%. That's we're getting into almost outlier territory there. So think about it, in terms of like, okay, there was this massive increase last year. So Canadians hit it hard for a myriad of reasons. So you're comparing this year, which may just be a normal year, against that outlier year. So of course it's going to be a negative number if you look at it through that lens. The holiday season in totality will tell a story. Volumes, on our network all last week were high, significantly higher than normal. So it's not that Canadians aren't out there shopping. They are definitely out there shopping. We need to wait and see how the spending trends are shaping up for the entire month of December.
As you'd mentioned, Alberta was the most down and Ontario the most up, but there were a few pockets across the country where we saw some increases as well. Atlantic Canada and Saskatchewan. Is there anything you saw there?
So Saskatchewan was up 1%. So, basically flat. But the week over week number for Saskatchewan was plus 36%.
Huge.
That's like, people in Saskatchewan, they love deal hunting, man. I've got relatives out there, and I guarantee whatever they get me for Christmas is going to be on sale. You look at last year, Black Friday in Saskatchewan was up 25%. And that led all provinces. So they love deal hunting out there. They love it. So plus 36%. And then BC was up 35% week over week as well.
Atlantic Canada, we had a 3% bump year over year. What did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, Atlantic Canada, their numbers on Black Friday week over week were plus 32%. So again, above the national average of 25. You know, I talked to somebody last week about this, and, you know, they were asking about the 4%, minus 4% number. Like, why would that be?
Yeah.
And we talk about this a lot on this podcast, Al, but it's getting expensive out there. The day that we released these numbers, I read a report from Dalhousie University that predicted, was from Agri-Food Canada. It's a government agency. It predicted that Canadians will spend $1,000 more on groceries next year.
Right.
The average Canadian household is like $1,100 and change. Those are the pressures that are facing Canadian consumers right now. And that number, while it sounds extreme, it's not even surprising. Like, would you be surprised that you'd spend $70 more per month on groceries next year, given what's happened the last couple of years? Probably not.
No, not really.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
And that's just groceries.
Yeah.
That's a headwind. Insurance rates, you know, to insure your car and your house, those have been going through the roof. So the economic environment in Canada it's just weird right now. And, you know, that manifests itself in results like this, where Canadians need to find ways to make smart choices. You can't make a choice on whether or not to insure your car. You can't make a choice, at least I hope you can't make a choice, on how much food you're putting on your table at home. Those are the last things that you pull back on. Christmas gifts, you can pull back a little bit, and Christmas morning, you're still going to share that moment on Christmas morning. You're still going to be with your loved ones. You're still going to be spending time with each other. The whole commercial, I'm sounding like Charlie Brown's friends, Lucy, explaining to him about the true meaning of Christmas. But the reality is that there's still gifts being bought. There's still turkeys being bought, just maybe a little bit smaller and not as many. Down 4%. You know, the sky is not falling, but definitely something to keep an eye on.
So, I mean, what we see from these numbers is I think there's still like an event-driven propensity towards shopping, right? Bigger basket sizes on concentrated deal days kind of thing. So practically, what could, you know, merchants do to maximize their profits for the holiday season?
We've been beating the drum all year, Al, about Canadians deal hunting.
Yeah.
You know, we've been doing surveys as well, asking Canadians about what's driving their purchases, what's driving their purchase habits. And it's deals, it's promotions, it's loyalty. Retailers and merchants incentivizing consumers to shop with them. And that isn't necessarily a race to the bottom. It doesn't mean that, you know, you chew through all of your margin, but there's creative ways to do that. I look at, you know, some merchants, like I was in at a Chuck's Roadhouse on the weekend, and Chuck's is a really interesting business case. They offer certain menu items really, really cheap. They offer certain alcohol really, really cheap. And you get in there and you have the option to buy those menu items. You also have the option to buy, you know, a more traditionally priced menu item. So they're looking at ways to incentivize diners. In that case, they're incentivizing diners to come into the restaurants and enjoy the offer.
Right.
And I tend to think that in this kind of retail environment, that's the model. Incentivize people to get into your store. You can still sell them things at regular price, but incentivize them to get in and look around. Incentivize them to get on the website and poke around. Okay, this is your clearance item in this basket over here, but I'm still going to shop around for something that might represent a little bit more margin for the retailer.
Yeah, so got to get a little creative with their deals and stuff for sure. Sean, if folks want to learn more about what you do on the Moneris data team, where would they go?
Dataservices.moneris.com.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sean, for the year, and happy holidays to you and your family, and happy New Year. And I guess I'll see you in January.
My pleasure. Thanks, Al.